Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Riru and Bonnie, sharing our injustice pick. Bonnie already told us about the amazing Ida B. Wells. But before we dive back in and I introduce my gal to you, I want to know something rebellious about our gal pals. I would like to know, with the dumpster fire that is 2025 in the United States, what injustice or harm to people is at the top of your priority list?
Mine's pretty easy because I said it at the top of the episode. It is trans rights. That's kind of where I'm at. LGBTQ, gay and lesbian rights all over. But because I've got skin in this game and a beautiful trans kid to protect and a lot of trans friends, it's just kind of like, hey, if I need to hyper focus, like we were talking about in the last episode, maybe that's where I'm going to put my my hill to die on. The how can I help? In what way can I help?
There's a lot of scary politicians out there obsessing about trans individuals.
Yeah. About other people's genitals.
Right, exactly. Right? Which is none of their damn business. No. And
precisely so.
I mean, when Indiana was doing their legislative session, I was looking at women's rights issues and I was looking at trans issues. Those were the two main things that I was looking at. But in this particular dumpster fire year, I was feeling more feelings about the trans rights. And I was like, the ladies will come back and we will fix this shit. But absolutely. We really need to help our trans kids right now.
Just passing stuff. Like they don't ask the people what they want. Like,
because it doesn't matter.
Like the only voting question we had was like, if... Gosh, what was it? It was something like the line of succession for governor. Yeah, like the sixth person in line is the head of IPS. Right. And I'm like, when is this going to happen?
Right. It's just basically how can we make sure one particular person is not in charge?
Party bus at this fabulous strip clubs in Muncie, Indiana.
Right. I mean, this is not like the plane with the Big Bopper, and you know what I mean. It's not
in that situation.
Richie Valens situation.
It's going to be the head of IPS,
right? Yes, where they're all in a bus.
They're not going to invite them.
Yeah, because they want charter schools. But I digress. Buddy, what is your hill to die on?
I don't know. There's so much.
There's a lot.
With the dumpster fire that is the U.S.
Yes.
I'm in the weird state of I want to, like, speak up and do shit. And, like, part of me is like, I want to write my reps about all this stuff. But I'm also like, but then they definitely, I mean, they all have, my address is public record.
Sure.
But they'll know that I'm a disruptor. Yeah. Like, trying to find that lane of trying to be helpful, but then also
not putting a target on yourself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of trying to navigate that.
I was when we had the library problem, and I decided to be. I'm like, my name's now on the list. I'm excited about this. I'm all in now. They can find me.
Cross that bridge.
Pretty damn easy. I mean, I saw them taking photos of all of our addresses, and so I'm like, game on. Let's go.
But yeah, we've got our library. It's independent, so there's not going to be any shit removed from it.
Exactly. We make the rules.
But, with all the stuff. Yeah, I'm terrified of all the immigration shit that's happening. Not even like the regular citizens,
right?
Like not even like born on U.S. soil, just for walking around being brown,
right?
As getting you at least detained for hours
for entertainment value, and yes, exactly, to ruin other people's lives.
I think was in Florida, like a month or two ago, when all this stuff started. There was some person who was a U.S. citizen, and his mother brought his birth certificate to the court.
Right,
and was like, "This
Remember
is
when
my
birth certificates were important?"
Like,
yeah, interesting.
And then all this stuff with, gosh, did they end up passing that? I don't even remember.
Yeah,
but the thing was
the
that
goal
was
is
going
to
to nullify. Gosh, they were trying to make it as like, oh, we're protecting voting rights.
Mm-hmm.
And that you need your ID.
So women can't vote?
Yeah.
Because
or that your ID should match your birth certificate.
And of course it's not going to match for women.
I think it already...
Yeah. I think it passed.
Oh, I thought it didn't pass.
Okay.
Or they haven't voted on it yet.
I can't remember. I feel like I should know but it's the dumpster fire. It's the overwhelmingness of,
I've changed
wait, hold on, what happened? Yeah.
My middle name.
Yes, right.
So I'm like, my name is long. I'm not sure people are going to read my whole name anyway.
Yeah.
But like my passport has my old name on it. And like I'm sure there's going to be a flood of people getting passports.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was already busy with passports. Every time I go in there's someone getting a passport.
Yeah.
But like... just trying to navigate all the shit.
Exactly. Do what you can do. Exactly.
Yeah,
plug in when you can. Self-care when you can. Yeah.
Definitely hit on a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely that have been on my mind.
Terrifying.
Right.
It's like, oh my God.
I think for me, one of the things that just plays in my mind, like multiple times a day, when you have to go buy groceries, or I had to go buy medication today at Walgreens.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are regular people like us going to keep living? How are we going to survive? How can we afford that? So I think right now, one of the things, too, that I think the most about is just the disparity in wealth that we have here in the United States.
Yep.
And how that's only getting worse, and everything they've been passing and the way things are set up now, right now, is favoring big companies and not
screwing over the
people,
poor people
that are producing the work.
Not cutting Medicaid, but just getting rid of all the money that goes to that budget. But we're not cutting Medicaid.
Right. We're not cutting library funding, but we're cutting the funding that funds libraries.
I was actually being really obnoxious today, and after my Walgreens trip.
Right.
Which I got
for that
my medication, Jonah's medication, and then, one of Jonah's wasn't filled to, go shop for 15 minutes. And I was like, well.
Yeah.
So I found some regular things we use, Bath and Body products that were buy one, get one half off. So I got those.
Yeah.
So I totally took a picture of everything I bought, and I sent it to my mom and brother, and I'm like, we're going to play a game. Guess how much all this cost?
Oh, yes, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Seems my mom does a lot of shopping, because she is quite good, because we had round 2, where it was what I bought from Amazon.
She should have been on The Price is Right.
I know. I might lean into this game across the board, bring in some coworkers.
Right.
Because it is just so outrageous. I'll just tell you, I spent $125 at Walgreens today.
Oh, shit.
At Walgreens. I can remember the days we're spending $125. That would be we need to talk about this first.
Right, yeah,
and that's what it takes now to just keep my hair, face clean, and my brain working.
No.
Right?
Cost of living.
And then I saw a video. Some lady went by the Hallmark store, and they had already released the catalog.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because Christmas in July or what.
Sure.
I get that's their thing. But they also were passing out sheets of paper to go with the catalog. So they're like, well, since the tariffs, our prices have changed. And the lady, is big Hallmark fan.
Yeah.
She goes, well, isn't everything made in Kansas?
No.
And the lady was like, I don't know. So she called the corporate number and called and was inquiring about the price increase. She's like, isn't it all made in Kansas? And they're like, yeah. And she's like, so why are you increasing stuff for tariffs? It's all manufactured in Kansas, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, what percent? She's like, well, some of our stuff comes from overseas. She's like, well, what? But apparently the only thing that they would be paying for overseas would be the design rights.
Gotcha.
Is the only thing. So they're not actually importing anything.
Sure. Okay.
I don't think that would be under tariffs. So she's like, so why are you?
Yeah.
So not only are we going to deal with the actual importing stuff, we're going to the people hiking up just because everyone else is.
Yeah. That's great.
Sorry, guys.
Yep.
I'll try to uplift.
Yes,
I'll try to uplift.
It's good.
Kind of. Yes.
With it.
There's feuds. There's
panic doesn't help.
Marriage contracts. I have everything for you tonight.
Ooh, yes.
I got it all.
Let's dig it. Who do you have for us?
I am going to be talking tonight about Lucy Stone.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, nice.
And I know you guys light up and know this name, but you know this name some, right?
Yeah.
But people out there that haven't been able to study women's history as thoroughly as
who
this
rely on
trio
us for at least a 20 to 40 minute digest
may not realize that when you hear the names Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton,
yes,
it used to be a trio, much like these ladies at this table.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes,
I'm placing
Lucy
her now.
Stone.
Lucy
I have my pinky out right now, too, with weird gestures, but
I like it.
Yeah. She used to be part of the crew.
Ah.
Yes, so she was a suffragette.
Sweet.
Suffragettist.
Yes,
I don't know.
exactly.
I feel like I was missing some letters because every time I see it written down, it's like Mississippi. There's like 20 million
Yeah, this is true.
letters in it, so you know.
Different in different countries and all that kind of good stuff, too. Yes.
So,
yeah.
Obviously, her name is not very frequently mentioned with the other two.
Yes.
In discourse or in general knowledge or probably in elementary school if they actually talk about these women.
Yes, true.
They didn't in mine, but kind of, yeah. Well,
I had to find out
in
my
the
own.
future. Yeah. But so there was a falling out, but I kind of want to start with a quote from Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
Okay.
That one she wrote. Lucy Stone was the first person by whom the heart of the American public was deeply stirred on the woman question.
Oh, the woman question.
So I thought that was really beautiful that she felt that way.
Yeah.
And told others that she's like, you know, Lucy Stone, she really got people engaged with what was going on here and pulled a lot of people into our cause.
Magnetizing.
I know.
You need to have that.
So Lucy Stone was born in 1818 on her family's farm in Westbrook, Massachusetts.
Ah, there you go.
She was the 8th of 9 children.
Ah, there we go.
Like you were in the early
1800s. Sure. Yep. Birth control was not a thing.
Yes. So, of course, her mother was there, her other siblings, but also her Aunt Sally lived with them because her husband just up and left her.
Oh.
So she didn't have a choice. She had to move in with the fam.
Could have been a blessing in disguise.
Right.
It could have sucked at first.
Well, and I mention it because it's an event that I think helped form Lucy's opinions.
Yeah, there you go.
Early in life. I was also thinking as I read about her that I feel like a lot of women from this era that we talk about, they either start with families that are super into books and education and higher learning, and because of that are more liberal because, you know, they believe that women can think as well, and that a lot of the people that we talk about come from that background.
Right.
But that's not Lucy.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't a thing at her house.
In defiance of it?
No. In fact, Lucy recalled that there was only one will in our family, and that was my father's. Ah. Which was very characteristic of the day.
Sure, absolutely.
But Lucy, as a child, definitely noticed and resented the instances where she saw her father being unfair with the management of the family's money. Because not only was it, you know, their nuclear family, but also the aunt's money when she sold cheese and eggs went to
him.
Went to Lucy's dad, him to control.
Right.
And then he also didn't believe in non-essentials and fancy stuff, so he often would tell her she couldn't buy those things.
Right. When not his money, probably.
And despite this, Lucy does say that she had a very plentiful childhood because they had all the food they needed on the farm. She had, you know, her basic needs, and she didn't feel burdened by this, but she definitely took note of it.
Yep.
And she kind of processed it and noticed that it's not just her dad being a stingy old Grinch. Mm-hmm. This was their culture.
Yeah.
And that's when she was thinking that it would be necessary to make custom right if it was to rule.
Oh, yes. I like it.
Although then she went through finding out at church that there's a part in the Bible about cleaving to thy husband or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
At which point she resolved to call no man my master.
Yes.
And she determined that she would control her own life, never marrying, obtaining the highest education she could, and earning her own livelihood.
Yes.
So as she became a young adult, those were her goals.
Yay, spinster goals. I like it.
It's
perfect.
So she took the job she could get as a woman and started teaching.
Yeah, there it is. I mean,
but
it's a good...
At the time, her brothers were also teaching.
And so she could see how much they made?
Right, which was significantly more than her. She even filled in as a sub for one of her brothers once.
Yeah.
And was paid a woman's pay. Not what her brother was being paid to do it. And she confronted them and said,
I'm doing the same damn
I'm
job.
teaching the exact same thing. And they're like, well, I'm sorry. You only earn women's pay.
Right.
So after working as a teacher for, I think she did it for like 8 years.
Gotcha.
And saving up money, she was able to further her education
yay.
And move on to college. Yes.
Did she get a woman's degree? A titular degree?
Honestly, I don't know what her degree was.
Gotcha.
I read like 2 articles, the Wikipedia, and watched like a 40-minute YouTube video, and I don't think anybody ever said what her degree was.
She got a
Bonnie's
degree?
going to Google it.
There you go.
She graduated.
I mean, it could be, did she say in teaching? It could be a teaching
degree. Well, I know
of
what she wanted to do. When she got to college, she saw and recognized her natural ability as an orator. She wanted to be a lecturer on injustice and different issues.
Nice.
So I know when she was in college, she spent time, she made a women's debate club.
Nice.
They tried to shut it down. Women can't talk in public like that.
Women can't have opinions and then prove them.
Publicly speak. But she went to Oberlin College in Ohio, which was one of the first that would allow women and African Americans in.
Nice.
She went just as she turned 25, and I liked this. She traveled by train, steamship, and stagecoach to Oberlin College.
Yes.
Yeah. And during this time when she was teaching, she was also reading all the literature she could get, all the newspapers, all the people of the time that were kind of radicalizing and demanding rights.
Educating herself.
So as she went into college, she definitely entered with the beliefs that women should vote.
Yeah.
They should assume political office.
Yep.
Women should study the classic professions.
Yes.
And that all women should be able to speak their minds in a public forum.
All the time.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree. Yes.
In fact, she was, I thought I highlighted that, but however, at the end of her college when she was graduating, it was common for people who were asked, and I'm assuming these are people who had achieved well or done well, to write a little essay that would be then read by them during the graduation. I'm assuming.
Okay.
However, women were asked to write, but they weren't allowed to read it since they couldn't address crowds publicly. So it was read by like a male professor or something like that, right?
Ew.
So they asked her to write one, and her response was, no, not if I cannot read it myself. So she did not.
Sweet.
I would have just snuck some stuff in there about periods just to make them uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Right.
And I, as a woman.
The last time I menstruated.
You write it all in first person. It'd be great.
And so when she graduated from college in 1847, she became the first female college graduate from Massachusetts.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
Very nice.
So as she came out to the world to work on being a lecturer, which I don't think I really realized was a paying job.
Yeah, at the
time. It was big shit, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, that's not really...
You should get that job. I mean, if you didn't already work at a library.
If I didn't already find a way to shoehorn it into anything that I do.
I feel like it's the 1800s versions of I have a podcast.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like they go stand out on a street corner and just start yakking.
I swear in a past life I was some kind of street corner speaker because I have no fear of crowds and also just ideas. Let's talk about this together, shall we? I dig it.
Well, as she was beginning her career, she needed... I mean, you'll be surprised. There weren't a lot of people, I think, wanting to hire women speaking about women's rights, right?
What?
That's a man's job.
I thought that... Touche.
Love it, Bonnie.
Honor.
So she's also always been an abolitionist.
Yes.
So her first starts of speaking to the public and being a lecturer, she was talking about anti-slavery.
Nice.
Yes. In fact, I love this description of her as a speaker. Stone immediately proved to be an effective speaker, reported to wield extraordinary pervasive power over her audiences. She was described as a little, meek-looking, Quakerish body with the sweetest, modest manners, and yet an unshrinking and self-possessed as a loaded cannon.
Yes.
She's right?
A full package, then.
One of her assets, in addition to storytelling ability, was that she could move her audiences to tears or laughter as she willed it.
Oh.
She was said to have an unusual voice that her contemporaries compared to a silver bell.
Oh.
And of which it was said no more perfect instrument had ever been bestowed upon a speaker.
Oh, all right.
Isn't that beautiful, right?
I mean, I'm used to like a bell being, a tinny or something like that, but I guess it's a compliment of it's a soothing noise. If you like bells, I don't know.
She's from Massachusetts.
Sure.
Could be a little nasally.
A little nasally, yeah, that's fair. It's the beautiful of the nasally bells.
Gosh, what is it that dudes on the internet say about ladies' voice? A shrill?
Oh, yeah, the shrill. Mm-hmm. From the movie You've Got Mail. I hope she doesn't have one of those voices like the mice in Cinderella.
God.
Yup.
So during this time that she's lecturing about anti-slavery, she's also doing small events speaking of women's rights and speaking for the vote for women.
Sweet.
And of course, speaking with Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Yeah.
There you go.
I was like, I should just use their last names. I'm getting wordy here. And then I was like, I can't do it. They have the full thing.
It's the full name.
In my head, when I write it down all the time, it's SBA and ECS.
There you go. The abbreviations every time.
Should talk in code.
She probably also went around to different groups, like, women's organizations or, Masons, Goodfellows, that sort of thing, and speaking and presenting where she was allowed to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I had to throw this in here, too. She was scheduled to talk and a huge organizer of the National Women's Rights Convention in Massachusetts.
Yes, okay. That's not the Seneca Falls one. Okay.
No, it's not
Seneca
Falls.
Gotcha. Okay, yep.
So, but a few months before the convention, Stone contracted typhoid fever while traveling in Indiana, and she nearly died.
We nearly killed
Lucy Stone.
Indiana, we need to be better.
Right. I probably have typhoid. That's probably what's wrong with me.
Oh, no. But she lived.
So she was able to attend with limited participation and no formal address until the closing, which I think she said something.
There you go. She's like, before I die.
Mm-hmm. She just did so much. There's I can't tell you about all her different speaking things or where she is. So just know that she is right there in the thick of things, developing. And at this point, it is a bunch of conversations. Okay. They haven't made big organizations yet. Mm-hmm. Everybody's just talking, rallying up.
What are the problems we need to address? What? Yeah, exactly. What are our concerns? What do we need to figure out? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She's also known for wearing bloomers.
Oh,
for a bit. Yeah, with the long skirt. So when
bloomers.
she was lecturing in 1851, she wore that. For a time, it was actually recommended for women for their health.
Right.
Go away the French Paris fashions, no more corset. This is healthy for women, no long dress that they're going to trip over. Mm-hmm. So for a while, it was the thing to wear your bloomers and your dress and all that. Mm-hmm. A lot of the places she lectured, however, hadn't seen that yet. So she was the first woman in bloomers many of them ever saw.
They're like, what is this get-up?
And at that point, it was also becoming a symbol of trying to upspur male authority.
Yes. I remember Susan B. stopped wearing them because the outfit got more attention and people weren't listening to her.
I think that's exactly what happened with Lucy Stone, too. So she eventually went back to her dresses.
Hand in hand with being independent with a bicycle.
Right, exactly. Because then you can actually ride your bike better because you've got pants on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. But no, pay more attention to the outfit than what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And I can see which one's going to go.
Still happens today.
I know, right? But what was she wearing?
Bloomers.
Bloomers. Bloomers every day, all day.
All the time. So on October 14th, 1853, following the National Rights Convention National Women's Rights Convention held in Cleveland, Ohio. So she's in romantic Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
And
romantic Cleveland.
Meets the man that she will marry.
Yes.
And it is Elizabeth Blackwell's brother.
Ooh, the first doctor of these United States.
I know. And I just love that. I'm like, he does have a name.
Right.
But
exactly.
Elizabeth Blackwell's brother, that's who she married.
Sweet. We ever talked about her on the podcast? You did a book on the book. Okay,
I thought I did.
I think so. Because one of the book club book picks was a book about her.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that today when I learned this. I was like, did I talk about her on the podcast or just read the book? But I can't
remember. It might have been at both.
I don't know. It could be.
So many episodes at this point.
And another doctor lady mixed up in my head all the time.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what? I think I did talk about somebody from England.
Yeah.
I read the book.
Yes. She lived in Jamaica for a while, but she was British. That one? The pirate lady?
No. Not her.
Okay.
Oh, anyway.
Right. We'll figure it out.
We'll focus on Lucy Stone right now.
Lucy.
Yes.
But
Lucy. Lucy meeting
into
Henry Blackwell.
Sweet. She's in the Blackwell
awesome
family.
Women.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to woo her, because she was not immediately on board with this, Henry arranged a lecture tour for her in the western states, which at that time were considered those west of Pennsylvania and Virginia.
Oh, okay. Not the West.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Nope.
Not the Wild West.
So for 13 weeks, Lucy gave over 40 lectures in 13 cities.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sweet.
She, in fact, visited Indianapolis.
Hey!
And there's a quote from an Indianapolis newspaper.
Hey!
Nice.
About Lucy speaking. They said, it set about 2/3 of the women in the town crazy after women's rights and placed half the men in a similar predicament.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So she swayed 2/3 of the women in Indianapolis
crazy
into women's rights votes. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
And half of the men in Indianapolis believed in women's right to vote after she left. So.
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming actually just her audience. So,
yeah, probably.
Yeah, a little predetermined, but.
Sweet.
I have to throw in the Indiana stuff.
I know, right? Exactly. Yes. By all means. It was a lot of suffragettes will come through here.
So. I wonder if Seawall was there.
Maybe.
Indiana's Susan B. Anthony.
Yes.
Probably.
If they were in that same time period or, fun.
So it was the next National Women's Rights Convention in Cincinnati that she gave one of her most famous speeches, which is called her disappointment speech. When a heckler interrupted her speaking, calling the female speakers a few disappointed women. Oh, he interrupted, sorry, I'm getting out of order. He interrupted other women, calling them a few disappointed women.
Gotcha.
So when it was Lucy's turn to speak.
Did she have a retort?
She retorted.
Retort?
She said, yes, indeed, that she's a disappointed woman. In education, in marriage, in religion, in everything, disappointment is the lot of women. Mm-hmm. It shall be the business of my life to deepen this disappointment in every woman's heart until she bows down to it no longer.
Oh, nice. I like it.
I did too.
Dun, dun, dun.
The other thing she's known for was a highly publicized protest over paying tax.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the law of no taxation without representation.
Yeah. Right.
So she refused to pay her taxes. So the city came and auctioned some of her household goods to pay the taxes and court costs.
Right.
I went and visited the Susan B. Anthony house in Rochester. The tour guide there said Susan B. Anthony's sister, who ran the house while Susan was off doing lectures. Yeah. She said on every a property tax check she wrote no taxation without representation on the check.
Exactly.
I love the good trouble these women stirred up.
Yep. Pretty good.
I also really love the story of her marriage to Henry Blackwell. Their courtship was about 18 months, and most of it was through correspondence. Where they discussed the nature of marriage, actual and ideal, as well as their own natures and suitability for marriage. So she gradually fell in love and agreed in November 1857 to marry him. They developed a private agreement aimed at preserving and protecting Lucy's financial independence and personal liberty. So there were special things and trusts that were Lucy's only.
Like a prenup.
And they used the law, to keep their things separate before marriage and agreed to combine their income going forward with different things.
It's very forward thinking for the time.
Lucy also gave Henry a copy of a book called Marriage and Parentage, or the Reproductive Element in Man as a Means to His Evolution and Happiness.
Sweet.
And she asked him to accept the principles because she considered this what a relationship between a husband and wife should be.
Did he need to swear on it? Like it was a Bible or something? I like it though.
A big part of that was also that women should decide when there will be children.
Yeah.
And only they should say if or when they will have them. Absolutely.
At that time, they could still die.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And when they got married, they wrote some of this agreement they made as a protest to marriage, and it was published in papers.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah.
Cute.
The other thing is she was the first woman to keep her own maiden name. She just kept using her own name after the marriage.
Sure.
There was a brief period of time where, for different legal things, they forced her into writing it. But she and her husband got a lawyer to find out is it legal to make her do that? And she found out that it was not. So she made the public announcement at the American Anti-Slavery Society in Boston that her name remained Lucy Stone.
Look at that.
Lucy and Henry had one daughter, Alice Stone Blackwell.
Sweet.
Who also became a leader in the suffrage movement.
Nice. Very cool.
During the Civil War was a time where she didn't speak much.
There was a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Right. She was, yes. I kind of feel like where we are now. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Kind of popped into my mind.
The dumpster fire.
Right.
1865.
Because it was like, not only was she raising Alice, but she also was like starting to suffer from some self-doubt and really debilitating headaches.
Gotcha.
So there was only 2 appearances during those 4 years.
She also, this wasn't too long after having her kid, was it? She wasn't postpartum, was she?
Could be. It absolutely could be.
Postpartum, damn.
But she eventually, after the war ended, came out and resumed her public speaking.
Sweet.
So, it was 1866 that Susan B. and Lucy organized the 11th National Women's Rights Convention. The first since the Civil War. Yeah. And everybody got back to it. However, it was also with the proposal of passing the 15th Amendment that really created a fallout between them.
A lot of groups had a fractioning of that. Yeah.
Yes. So the difference kind of came down to that Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton wanted to focus on women and said women need the vote. They should get it as soon as possible, immediately, first. It should happen. Yeah. Whereas Lucy was more like, black men need the vote because their lives are being threatened. They're being lynched. These horrible things are happening. Right. So I can stand back from the women's rights issue for a minute to support and push this through. Right. And I think there were a few other little frictions and things between all of them. Yeah.
There's also that debate on going for state by state to get women's right to vote versus a federal rule.
And that's another thing between the two organizations they ended up.
Yeah, they're trying to get to the same place, but that's why I hated that they fought over how to get there. It's like, okay.
And another thing they disagreed on to some extent was divorce.
Oh, yeah.
Because Susan B. and Elizabeth Cady Stanton kind of felt like whatever the reason the woman wants a divorce. Yeah. Yes. Whereas Lucy kind of interpreted that as free love and not maybe had a little sanctity of marriage moment in her.
Victoria Woodhull
got really weird on the free love, so you can kind of almost backtrack from that. It's like, okay, but not the Victoria stuff, right? Like reasons?
So it was due to that the National Women's Suffrage Association was formed, and that was did I say Ida B a few times instead of
Susan B.
Anthony? Suddenly I was about to say Ida B, and I was like, we have a lot of B ladies.
We do. We're hanging around too.
Yeah, okay.
Same time frame.
So anyway,
She was
that was
there.
Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton did the NWSA.
Yes.
And then Lucy Stone and Julie Ward Howe formed the American Women's Suffrage Association.
There you go.
So Lucy also started the Women's Journal, which she started in 1870, and she wrote in the newspaper the entire time that it was published.
Sweet.
And it became kind of the unofficial voice of the suffrage movement, and it was published and read not only here in the United States, but also abroad. Mm-hmm. So it was a big deal.
Yay.
So after 18 years of this rift and working on getting the freaking right to vote,
right,
just absorb it all, people, how long of a fight this was.
Such a long fight. It didn't need to be that long of a fight.
It did not.
Yeah.
So it was Lucy that proposed a merger of their two groups.
Yes.
And plans were drawn up to make the National Americans Women's Suffrage Association.
Yay!
Now, I also learned that Lucy suggested that all three of the ladies be part of the association, but not hold offices, that they kind of step back and let the next future women take over.
Yeah.
However, Susan B.
said no to that.
And Elizabeth Cady.
No.
They were like, nah.
They didn't
and they had,
any power?
they
That
weren't
sounds
ready
right.
to let it go.
Yeah. They still had wind in their sails.
So she joined that, but Lucy joined, but was never super active, I think, kind of like with that. And this was also when she was kind of, I think, starting to not feel well.
Gotcha.
It was still 6 years until she passed away, but I think, she was kind of slowing down in certain ways, probably being older in her health and all of that.
Right.
So her final appearance was with her daughter in Chicago in May of 1893.
Gotcha.
And she gave her last public speech there. She presented a speech called The Progress of 50 Years, because she'd been working for 50 years, described the milestones of change, and she said, I think with never-ending gratitude that the young women of today do not and can never know at what price their right to free speech and to speak at all in public has been earned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They did get pretty far in 50 years. There was still a long way to go.
Right.
But it was pretty good. Yeah.
So she died October 18th, 1893 of stomach cancer. She was 75.
Oh, gotcha.
Her funeral was 3 days later, and 1,100 people attended.
Oh, wow.
Crowded into the church.
Goodness.
Hundreds more stood outside silently.
Oh.
6 women and 6 men served as pallbearers.
Cute.
Nice.
Her death was also the most widely reported of any American woman's up to that time.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
One of the things I saw online was that supposedly her last words were to her daughter, Alice.
Yeah.
And it was...
I know you want to get the glorious...
Her last words to Alice were, make the world better.
Oh, nice. Make the world better.
Yeah, they're like 3 words. How am I struggling?
I know, you wanted to get it right. You wanted to get all 3 of those important ones all together. Yeah, make the world better. Yeah, that's lovely.
But that's Lucy Stone.
Yeah, like that.
I love learning about her. There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants to look into her more.
Sweet. I like it.
Are you guys ready for me to wrap it up?
I think so. I was trying to think of any questions, but you nailed it, and I love her. So yeah.
I didn't find what her degree was in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's a bachelor's degree. I saw
one of the ladies I was researching got a law degree, but I don't think that was her. I think it was another.
Gotcha. Especially if she wanted to be more of a speaker than any kind of justice or lawyer or anything like that.
Maybe she even went with what we call these days like general studies.
Right.
She's like, I took enough classes to have a bachelor's degree, and I just studied things I was interested in without a super specific focus.
Right, exactly. That liberal arts degree sort of thing. But yeah. Sweet.
Now it's going to haunt Bonnie. Sorry, Bonnie.
I know, right? There's always show notes.
I'm going to wrap it up, and then Bonnie has to stop thinking about it.
Yes, there you go. Wrap us up.
Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as another Injustice Gal is picked to share as Gal's Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
Want to learn about more women of history? Gal's Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.